Hello, team, and welcome to episode 20. We are here with part two of four of our classes about the four main language skills. We talked a little bit about reading last week, and this time we'll be talking about everyone's favorite, writing. I don't know if this was your experience in school, but I remember when the teacher would say, "Everybody, get your notebook, we're going to write an essay." There would always be somebody, "How many lines?" And I think this is a good reference for how most people think of writing. It's something to, what's the minimum I need to do to get this over with? And that's fine. I understand. I don't, on a Saturday afternoon, you know what, it's time to do some writing. It's not really me, but there are a lot of benefits. And if you are here practicing English, trying to improve your English, we need to do some. And what we're looking for today is some way that you can include a little bit of writing, not like a 3-page essay, nothing that long, but just a little bit of writing, and how you can include some into your week. Team, I don't ask much of my students in terms of material, but I do recommend having a notebook. Post-its are useful. Notebook, I guess, a second screen if you do class with me. But I think for writing specifically, it's always good to have an English notebook. It doesn't need to be too formal, but somewhere that you can just write down interesting stuff. I do recommend leaving it open. Leave it open near your TV, leave it open near your desk with a pen nearby so that you don't need to think, you don't need to find it, you don't need to open it to the right page, you don't need to look for a pen, you don't need to test if there's ink, it's just there. So team, let's see how we can include some writing in our week. And team, I know ChatGPT, it is amazing. I use it all the time, but it does not necessarily help with your memory. And if you are looking to improve your vocabulary, for example, with English, ChatGPT might not be your best friend. It is amazing. It is an amazing tool to correct your work, to help you. You can use it to quiz you, to check things, but a tool can also become what we'd say a crutch if you rely on it too much. So that's me at a restaurant that I went to with Patricia. And this is our first exercise. Leave a review. Team, I have done this exercise many times with my students, and I think it's super easy to include in your week. It's a great Sunday evening or Monday exercise because we usually do fun stuff on the weekends. And it's to leave a 3-sentence review. Why 3 sentences? Because my students usually do it if I ask for 3 sentences. You can write a paragraph, you can write a page. It's not a problem. But one easy way to do it is, number 1, what did you do? Number 2, what's your opinion? And number 3, who would you recommend it to or not? And we have this group here in WhatsApp for those who want to participate in this activity more. If you see something cool, if you go to a cool movie, to a cool restaurant, you buy something cool online, we recommend. So let's take a look at my review. Patrice and I went to Villéon on Friday for an early Mother's Day. I ordered the lamb, and she chose the steak with risotto. The food was amazing, as was the service, and the owner, Felipe, guarantees a 5-star experience going to the tables to meet the diners. I especially recommend it for a date night. We were without lease, and I think it felt very cozy, very nice to go as a couple. So that's my personal recommendation. And thank you, Felipe, for the excellent time. That's how you do it. And it doesn't need to be for a restaurant. You can be for a movie you watch on Netflix. I saw a horrible movie on Netflix. I do not give it 5 stars. It's the Bride's Mother. I actually saw the title in Portuguese. I think it's The Bride's Mother. I don't recommend it. It was a romantic comedy. It was not funny. It was not romantic. And I only recommend it if you've seen everything else on Netflix. So recommendations can be bad too. Not a problem. Sometimes they're even more fun. And if you can include some vocabulary that you're working on, bonus points. Now, number 2, skill focus, writing. So, team, a lot of people feel judged in their writing because we often do it for school. I have one student, Miss Carol, who got a perfect score on the Brazilian SAT, the Enem. So congratulations. I felt judged when I was teaching this class. How could I teach somebody who destroyed the test. You did a great job. I've never met anybody else who got a perfect score. But I'm going to give you guys my 3 tips. I write a little bit for you most weeks, and sometimes I need to pick how I organize my thoughts. But some tips for you, and take them, leave them, agree with them, ignore them, disagree, whatever you feel is appropriate. But number 1, pay for every word you use. In school, sometimes we take that sentence and go, and we stretch it out, and it's fine to get those lines in, but usually we value ideas that get right to the point. We see quotes, the best quotes, they're always pretty short. And I think if you can remove some extra filler words, it will sound better. So those prepositions like ofs, those thises and that's, sometimes I'll include one specifically to sound the way that I speak, like so, to kind of hear a little John in the writing. But in general, if you can remove some words, do it. Number 2, write your first draft with your heart and your second with your mind. What does this mean? If you try to be perfect in the first draft, you'll take much longer than you want, and it'll be worse. So the first time, just get the words down, and then afterwards, go back and review it critically. Do it in 2 shots, at least. If you want to go more times, go. But if you try to do it perfectly the first time, you will take a long time, and it probably won't be perfect. So get the words down, then correct. And number 3, I know this may be unpopular. I studied a little bit in Brazil, and I remember that here it felt like there was a right way to write in Portuguese, and I don't think that's true. So write how you talk. Well, because there's the informal way that you talk, and if you stop and you think a little bit, you can talk in a better way. So you should try to write how you talk. Well, when you're trying to sound a little fancier, a little nice. Maybe fancy is not the right word, but to sound more, you sound like your best version. That's the best version. All right. So those are my 3 tips. And how about you? What's your number 1 writing tip? How did you get through those writing assignments in school? What are some of the benefits of writing? I think for English learners, it's a great way to practice vocabulary. So if you have a word you want to use, it's a good place to practice it. B, it's like slow writing, slow speaking. So you can kind of correct some mistakes. If you hear yourself making a mistake, I have 35 years. I know this, I am 35 years old. If you write it a couple times, you won't forget it. And let me see, those are the main ones. I think it's a great place for you to test out new stuff, see if it works. It's something, you can do it almost anywhere. Everybody has a cell phone. So there's a lot of benefits, but you don't need to be writing big essays, but you should include some writing in your studies. So number 3, if you're hearing this, stop what you're doing, pick up your phone, send one of your friends, your study buddy, a message in English. Whatever it is, just start the conversation. If you start by speaking your own language, they're going to answer in their own language. If you message them in English, they'll answer you in English. So whatever you want to say, hello, hey, what's up? I've been thinking of you. My crazy English teacher told me to do this. Whatever you find is appropriate. So don't think, do. Send somebody a message. And do you pay attention to the autocorrect? Team, when I moved to Brazil a long time ago, autocorrect was very basic. It would just leave a red line under the mistake. And I know for me personally, who had only spoken Portuguese in an informal setting, it really helped me with my writing. So remember, tools can be really useful. So pay attention to your mistakes. What are they corrected? If you pay attention to them, you'll stop making them. So use your autocorrect to your advantage. Team, next up, we have a little game to play. Mind Meld. And I saw this on a show called Carpool Karaoke. Fun show. If you have a favorite celebrity, you can go check if they're there. It's an interview program in a car with some singing. But I saw a game that I thought was really appropriate. I'm going to teach you guys how to do it with writing, but For example, if you're in a car, you don't need to write anything. You can just say the words. And you start with a random word. This site generates random words if you want to take one. And then the way that I played it with my student is that each player writes down a related word. And then 1, 2, 3, go, and we share the word. But you can just as easily do the speaking. 1, 2, 3, dog. And you can say the word out loud. And if you both say the same word, congratulations, you win. And if you don't, you'll take the two new words and try to find a word that's in the middle, in between them. So here you can find a video example. I thought it was a pretty good explanation. And I wrote one example here. So let's say that you started with the word farm. Player 1 thought of eggs. Player 2 said pigs. And now you need to find a word that kind of involves eggs and pigs. And the person thought of delicious. And the other person said bacon. And then you try to find a word related to delicious and bacon and everybody's breakfast, the best meal of the day. So that's how you play. It's silly, simple, fun. It feels good when you get the same answer. So easy way to practice some English. All right. All you need is a buddy. Let me see. All right. Last up, your journal. Personally, I've never had a journal, and it's not a good or a bad thing. But I think for English purposes, an informal journal can be really useful. And you don't need to be writing your dreams and who you're angry with and all that stuff. That can be kind of personal, but you can talk about the movie you watched. If you have a couple of minutes while you're waiting for a client or something at work, during one of those boring daily meetings, you can get your English practice in by writing about your day. And I'd say try to make mistakes. What does this mean? Test out new stuff. Start with the familiar, but always include something that you're not 100% sure of, because that's where you'll see the growth. Team, that's it. Thank you. Next week, we will be back with part 3. And like always, I hope to see you in class.